first of all, Joseph, tell us a little about yourself, like who you are and what you do.
Okay. I'm Joseph. I'm from Fiji originally, and I live in Adelaide. I've been here 12 years now, and I'm a musician, full-time musician. Wasn't always. I did, back in Fiji, I worked in broadcast and television, and then when I came here, kind of fell into audiovisual, doing corporate AV and all that, and kept doing music on the side, and then decided to be a full-time musician March 2020, when just before the pandemic hit. So, but since been a full-time musician since then anyway.
And when did you come to Australia?
2011, the beginning of 2011.
Okay, so I want to get into the move and how that came about, but before we do you want to say how we know each other? How we met?
Yeah, well, wasn't it that night you took that photo with that, I forgot what it was called, Winter Sounds or something. It was a small event with like acoustic artists.
Yeah, we were all sitting on rugs.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, there were rugs and bean bags and stuff. And I remember, I think it was, I forgot his name, the guy he and his girlfriend organized that event, and they asked me to play. So, and that was I think the first year I was here, maybe. I can't remember.
The first year?
Yeah, I can't remember when it was.
Oh, yeah, because that was about 2011 or something.
Yeah, because that was what I remember. I was still new to Adelaide then,
Right.
Yeah, and you took that photo, and
because I was working for a local street press mag, Whip It Up, and they sent me to cover the event.
Yeah,
and I think that was the first time I'd kind of been part of an event of that particular style, like pretty cruisy, people chilling on the floor sort of thing.
Yeah, it was cool. I remember.
And I should be careful how I say this. I loved your voice, but you didn't grab me until you did that cover, the Dr. Hook song.
Oh, yeah.
Sharing the Night Together. I'm like, anyone that can cover this song and make it super cool has won me over. So I still remember that.
Oh, wow.
That version and how you did it.
Yeah, I love that song. I haven't played that song in a while. You've reminded me, so I think my next gig I'll be playing that song.
And so, yeah, then I took there was a photo that I took that night. It was like a side profile, and you had like these beads of sweat, and your hair was like doing this soul glow shine thing.
Soul glow shine.
Coming to America.
when I had hair.
And then I decided to get the photograph like printed and put it into like a local exhibition for music photographers. And then after the exhibition, I didn't know what to do with I actually held on to it for quite a few years. And then I hunted you down because you were playing a gig at a hotel on southern side of Adelaide.
Right.
And I thought, well, I'll go see you play, and I'll give you the framed picture.
Yeah.
And then I like rocked up, and I'm like, I don't know if you remember me, but and you had this really lovely, welcoming, receptive vibe. So
no, it was cool. It was very cool. Not every day some, photographer gives you a print of yourself, and it was a really good one, and it's on the wall at home. So
do you look at it and go, back when I had hair?
Yes, all the time. Thank you for leaving me that reminder.
Yeah, so that was,
It's a good reminder because I remember that event, and then because you're attached to that thing that's on the wall, the picture, that you took. So that's, always makes me think of that event and you. And
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, that was how we met. So, you know, we had a little chat off camera before, and I know a little bit about your story, but you come across to me as someone with an entrepreneurial streak. Just in the way that your music story has unfolded. So before we get to the Fiji story, can you tell us a bit more about your music journey, like the different things that you've dabbled with on the scene?
Yeah, well, I don't know how you want to go all the way back to...
I want it all, Joseph. I want it all.
all.
So, you know, you told me that you were doing some industry work with the audiovisual staff.
Yeah. So, anyway, music. I guess my musical journey started, you know, from a child. My mother, she was a classical piano teacher. And Dad was a drummer, so I kind of grew up, you know, with music always around in some form. I didn't really get into like playing and embracing it until like the later years of high school, because my friends picked up a guitar and started playing, so we had this kind of, you know, competitive thing with us. So I picked up a guitar and then started playing. And then my stepfather at the time was a jazz guitarist. So he taught me blues, how to play blues on a guitar.
That mini competition that you had with your mate, did that kind of compel you to get better?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And that's how we did it, because his uncle, Tony's uncle, was a trained classical guitarist. Like, you know, he went to the Vatican and studied for years, and then so he was teaching Tony and, you know, all his nephews and sons all that style of music, and I was getting taught blues music from my stepfather. So we kind of put that together, and we were just playing, you know, this interesting mix of styles that we had, you know. And we, you know, in Fiji, of course, there's a lot of gospel, a lot of reggae music that you grow up with as well. So there's a lot of that influence in there too. You know.
Which style would be the primary kind
Blues.
of blues?
Yeah, always blues first. It's my go-to, you know.
So if we freeze on that scene, because that's sort of telling us how you grew up with music around you. And then if we fast forward to like adolescence, playing your first gig in Fiji.
Yeah, that was...
How did that come about?
Oh, that was funny. Well, the first ever gig, I don't know if you want to call it a first gig, but say my first experience on a stage in front of a crowd, I had my back to the crowd the whole time. Because it was this overwhelming load of emotions that I didn't know how to react to or accept, you know.
Whose idea was it for you to get on that stage?
It was my stepdad. It was his band. And I wasn't even plugged into the PA. He just gave me a little speaker so I could hear myself in the back corner of the stage. And I was just there, back to the crowd, just playing, trying to follow the band, and, you know, nervous. So it was funny.
Was that just musician only, or were you singing?
No, just musician only.
Yeah.
So playing, yeah. It's funny, singing, and still today, I do enjoy singing, but I've never considered myself a singer, because I was never the singer in, you know, a band or anything. I was always the guitarist or an accompanying someone else.
I remember when you told me that, and I really want to press you for more details on that. I just now want to ask you all the questions. I'm aware that we keep kind of going back and forth because there's just so much I want to ask you.
Yeah.
I did ask about the entrepreneurial stuff before.
Yes.
So if we fast forward from that first gig experience in Fiji,
Yeah.
and then you're in Australia,
Yeah.
With the industry work that you were doing, did you do any of that in Fiji? Oh, you said that you did before, sorry.
Well, in Fiji, it wasn't corporate AV because there's not a big industry like there is here for that type of work. In Fiji, I did broadcast. So I worked for Fiji Television and pretty much covering a wide range of roles, because there is no, film school or production school as such in Fiji. So you get thrown in the job and you learn as you go, and you learn off whoever's been there before, and that's just the way you work and learn. So it was kind of like an apprenticeship, in a sense. But yeah, then as you get better, you move up and do various roles.
Did that change the way that you did gigs?
Yeah, well, yes, at that time. Well, yes and no. That when you're young and you got a lot of energy, you can burn yourself out, and still be okay.
But what
so
about
that's what
on
I
a
was doing
technical
pretty
level?
much. But on the technical level, yeah, it was it was hard to transition from that to corporate AV, in the sense that the work was kind of scaled down, So I had to relearn concepts, so to speak. But the good thing about doing corporate AV here is the scope of work. So I was doing everything from like a small room, say, set up like this, to a big conference with multiple microphones and cameras and screens, to big gala dinners and things like that. So,
Which were the kind of jobs that you preferred to do?
yes, yeah, and I enjoyed every minute of it when I was doing it. But my heart was always with music. I always wanted to be a full-time musician, but I never could. So music always had to be this other thing that I did. But then, since living in Australia and then getting the amount of music work that I am, I thought, it was time to take that step and be a full-time musician. So doing that now, and then that in itself, I'm still learning a lot of other aspects of being a full-time musician. It's not just going to gigs and playing, There's other avenues through APRA, where you gotta, you give them all your set lists, and at the end of the year, if you play all your original music, you can get income from there.
Can you tell people about APRA, like what kind of body they are exactly?
Yeah, they're I might struggle with what the acronym extends to. It's the Australian Performing Rights Association, and
So this is a songwriting.
Yeah, it's broad. It's not just songwriting and music. That's covers media, any type of media that's original, and you can register with them. And yeah, so far that's as far as I've gone with that. So that's another avenue for income, and they also have a lot of training on industry, the way the industry works, and how you can position yourself in however you want. So there are a lot of good resources that they have there for. With
some of your gigs, you were incorporating a bit of DJing and such.
Yeah, well, weddings especially, I found, I've done a few where I'll do the acoustic set, usually if it's the ceremony or pre or post ceremony, acoustic tunes, and then the pre-dinner, a bit more acoustic tunes, and then they're either a band or a DJ later. But what I've done in a few weddings is I'll have a drummer join me for the dinner part, and then we'll change the whole setup to be a DJ from after dinner onwards. So we cover all the entertainment for the whole wedding. That way.
Yeah. Entrepreneurship looks different for a lot of people, but they're the kinds of things, they're the kinds of details. When I hear that stuff from you, that's where I pick up that vibe of you're willing to stretch yourself and do different things to get that booking or to push yourself, on the scene.
I had to change my sort of way of thinking, and I'm still in that process now, because when you're working for yourself, you got so many different hats that you got to put on at different times, and it's not easy. I don't get it right, a lot.
Give us an example of the change in thinking that you had to do.
Well, the main thing I think I'm trying to get a hold on now is how my days are different. When you're working, although even shift work as well, you're working, that these are the hours you're doing. At the end of the week, you get home, you forget about it, and then you start again the following week. That's your cycle of work. Whereas when you're working for yourself, there is no set period of rest and set period of work. It's always there. You got to always be on top of everything. You got to always be thinking of next year, or the next half of the year. That way of thinking is what I'm trying to sort of get used to now.
So when do you rest?
Well, that's funny because because I don't have to work Monday to Friday, I've got the days, so, apart from, because I got family as well, so I've got children to drop and pick up wherever, house to clean, and then I got to organize dinners, because Emma does do the 9 to 5 and sometimes later. She's a dental nurse, so I've kind of taken on a lot of those roles, looking after the house and the family and stuff as well, as trying to stay busy and making sure that there's always work for me. But it works for us because then Emma, she doesn't work Fridays or Mondays. So when I start working on the weekends, she's at home to take over all that stuff. So like family life, it kind of works that way. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the resting, I try to get as much sleep as I can.
Yeah. During the days that you're not thinking about music stuff, or are you pretty much always thinking about it?
I'm always thinking. There's music happening up here all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be safe to say that for most of your life, you've always been around music-related opportunities.
That would be safe to say.
Which of those have been the most challenging for you in terms of growing your skills or trying new things musically?
It's honestly it's now like music, because I've got to spread myself over the craft of playing music, because to get better and to keep getting better, you got to put practice time in, and practice to be better. So one thing that I'm finding frustrating is that I'm not putting enough practice time into actually playing, to the craft of playing guitar and music, because I have to spread myself with all these other aspects of life. So that's, at the moment, that's my current Yeah.
You've hit a point in your
I've
life
hit a point where I want to be a better guitarist, but I'm not giving it enough
you're
time.
pretty fucking good already, though, I have to say.
Oh, thank you. I'll take that. But it's, you always want to, when you get to a point and you're playing the same thing, and it can get frustrating because, it's like a two-way relationship with the music and playing and the skills and all that. The whole package is like, the more I give to it in terms of time and practice to be better, the more it gives back to me, where
100%.
I can hear the music and feel the music because I'm going to new places all the time.
Yeah, I hear you, because as a writer, there's a definite parallel there.
Yeah.
It's really important for writers to read. If we don't read, then we don't kind of stretch ourselves with the craft.
Yeah.
And if we don't write, then, we're just not giving ourselves the opportunity to get better anyway. So it's just with any craft, isn't it? You've got to put in the time and the practice.
That's it. It's, I don't know, it is frustrating, but at the same time, I still enjoy what I do. What I'm doing is, it still fills my soul with good energy. But it's the frustrating bit is like, it's the same wall I'm just hitting. Even though it's a nice wall. I like the wall, but it's the same wall. I just want a new wall,
I like that analogy. You had a part to play in the theme music for the show.
Oh, that was so much fun. Yes.
What was that experience like for you?
No, it was so much fun. And, like Pearl Jam, you're a mega Pearl Jam fan, I've come to know that. And I never really...
there's different levels of mega.
Oh, is there?
I'm probably at the lower mega level.
Oh, okay. But you're still in the mega realm.
But continue, sorry to cut you off.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So like I never really listened to a lot of Pearl Jam or any of that music from the 90s, in that style, because that's when...
We need to stop this interview right now then. What's wrong with you?
But I do now, and I love them now, because... And you're one of the people that's kind of not shoved it in my face, but, put it there. And over the years, there's, people have kind of just check it out. And now I think when you doing this, the intro music for your podcast, it was, I've been going deeper and deeper into Pearl Jam and all the other songs, and then I was like, oh, what's that one like? And then I like that one.
Oh, I love hearing that. That's awesome.
You've kind of helped open my, or introduce me to the world of Pearl Jam. So thank you. But going back to making the song, I loved, it took me a while to sit in the space of that song, that, the Amongst the Waves. And because the first and this is just brutal honesty, the first time I heard it, it didn't catch me at all. Like there was no part of it that I thought, jumped out at me. But I had to sit in it for a while. And when I got into the song, I really enjoy it. And I really like listening to it now. It's on my playlist now.
You were saying that in Fiji, there was always a singer around. So
yeah,
but then when you came to Australia,
so I got to, when I came here, in order to get work and gigs, I had to sing and play. So that I just started the apartment I was living in then. I just kind of set up a camera, recorded myself singing a few songs, just little clips, put it together. And then I just went around to clubs and bars, giving them DVDs and stuff, and going on Facebook and messaging venues through their Facebook Messenger. So that's how I started getting gigs.
But prior to that, are you saying that no one gave you any encouragement to sing? No one put that idea into your head and said you should sing?
No, it was purely to get work and make some money.
That's so bizarre.
But yeah, and now I love it. I enjoy singing so much now.
I just want to clarify, it's bizarre because you have a beautiful voice and it just, like, can you, how much of it did you have, with the way you sing now, how much of it has been training, like, and how much of it just like a natural thing?
I don't know. I guess at this point I've sung enough gigs for that to be kind of training. I don't know. But yeah, there's, it's changed, like I started singing, I just sang because I sang. There was no thought, there was no planning, there was no training or anything. It was just sing the song, the song, sing it. So I did it. But now, all these years of singing, I'm starting to notice certain parts about my body, what happens to my body when I sing, with the lungs and where to get air from and how to like squeeze or compress your wind so that you can hold a note longer or you can hit that high note, So things like that I'm starting to sort of see. I don't know about learn, like it's things like, how do you explain, when you know something, but once you've read an official thing about it, it kind of confirms it, kind of thing.
That's called intuition, my friend.
Well, yeah.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, when you choose your songs, how much of it is it to suit your voice and how much of it is, I know people love this song, so I'm going to learn it.
Yeah.
Which?
Well, I'd say 20% of what I do is for, other people, and 80% of the songs I do because I like them. Mm-hmm. But there are the crowd pleasers that you have to do. That keeps you working. But 80% of, say take a gig, 80% of the gig will be all the songs that I actually like. And then 20% of the gig will be, and I don't know, it just works out that the songs that I like, but I don't do the songs exactly like they are. I change every song I do to suit how I feel about the song.
And to me, that's a test of an awesome musician. I mean, that's what I was saying before about your cover of Sharing the Night Together.
Yeah.
Because, there was no way in a previous life that I would have voluntarily played that song because it was just cheese. Yeah. But you took all the cheese out of it and made it really cool. So how important is it for you to have the opportunity at gigs to play originals versus covers?
Oh, the opportunity is there. Every gig is an opportunity for me to play my original song.
Do you do it?
No, because that's another flaw of mine, or a challenge is being okay with my original music to share it with everybody.
Put my hand up for your audience, for test audience.
Okay, cool.
But what does that mean, being okay with it? Are you concerned that you're going to lose your audience, or do you think that your stuff isn't good enough? I
think I'm scared of being judged.
For
I don't it's hard to explain. It's like a song, my original songs, they're not really a representation of me. They're just a story that I'm telling, kind of thing. But sometimes I feel like if I put it out there, people are going to think that's a representation of me and judge me on that.
From that, yeah. Well, that's good. I'm telling you now. It makes sense, and it's going to happen anyway. It depends on how explicit you get with your lyrics, I suppose, or how specific. It's so specific that people are going to be like, okay, this dude just totally lived this.
No, that makes sense. But the challenge is getting over that and accepting, I guess, and just doing it anyway.
That is the show right there. accepting it and doing it anyway.
Yeah. I've learned to do that with a lot of other aspects in life, except for my original music. And yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you why, because I don't know. It's just there. It feels like a physical barrier, you know?
This is interesting. We've just next leveled this interview. I'm hoping that when we catch up next, you can tell me that you've chipped away at that.
Or
You could.
I think I have. I kind of like I've gotten onto APRA. I've registered the songs there, and I've got just recordings of myself just playing.
Actually, how important is that? Like, what would happen if you played an original at a gig and it wasn't registered anywhere?
Nothing. All what registering does is it's first of all ownership that proves your ownership of that work, and also revenue, because every time you play your original song at a gig and you put it on your set list that you register with APRA, at the end of the year, they add up how many times you played it, and you get royalties for your own music. You know? And once it's registered as well, if your music gets used anywhere else, it gets tracked, because every time you register it, it gets a specific number. You know, I forgot what it is, but it's a long number, and so every time it gets played anywhere, digitally, online, it gets recorded, and then somebody has to pay for it somehow, I think.
Okay, so going back to the entrepreneurial thing, you do a bit of coaching on the side, don't you?
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, well, I've always wanted to teach, and every time I thought about it, you know, I'm not a schooled musician. I didn't learn music in school, so I don't know how to read music. So, you know, I keep thinking, then what can I teach? Then over the years, I found a lot of people there's a lot of people who want to learn music either casually or as therapy, you know? So it was a few years ago, I knew Kira from years ago. Like, we were musicians, we'd always pass, you know, at gigs. And then she was doing this KN Creation, she called it. It was arts therapy. And she needed someone to fill in for the night appointments, which was like, what was it, 5 to 9 or something like that.
She was doing art therapy, you said?
She was doing art therapy. So she was doing everything from music to craft work to drawing, and, you know, everything like that through NDIS and all that. She was doing that. So I started teaching. So I kind of went as a mentor. So I was music mentor. And I started getting a lot of students. So a wide range of ages and backgrounds, and they all wanted different things from it. And I'm really, really enjoying it right now. So whenever I can. So at the moment, it's on hold, because I got to allocate some time to the youngest child, who's having some things with school and that. But as soon as I can, I'm going to jump straight back into it, because, I enjoy teaching. And it's not technical teaching, the way I teach. It's more applied kind of music. So, you know, you come in and say, okay, is there a song that you want to learn to play or sing? And then we'll work towards that. And then while learning that song, you know, then I'll show them the techniques and other ways to bring the music up.
I was really impressed when you told me about the music therapy, because, you know, creativity and helping others with it. I mean, what's not to love about that?
And I can see that, you know, it makes a huge difference in people's lives. just music, whether you're listening to music or you're learning to make music, and just the process of making music, it can make a big difference, positive difference.
Give me one little detail just from one mini experience in the art therapy, music therapy scene, where you can see that you've really, you've either touched that person or you've helped them in some way. Like, what does that look like?
There's a few. I might pick Katerina. She was beautiful, beautiful person, and she had this really nice speaking voice, and she
like yours,
always wanted to sing. Well, yeah, similar sort of timbre, to her voice, and she loved to sing. And when she started, I think I can't remember what song she wanted, but she likes all the 70s rock stuff. So we did some songs by Free or something. But what I'm getting at is when she first started, she had a lot of problems with her throat. She had an operation or something, and she found it hard to throw her voice, to sing loud. So she'd sing really low like this, and she was very shy about it. So we worked on breathing and singing song lines over and over to get her breathing going and her vocal cords happening. And now she's playing gigs now. She's doing awesome. Around Gola, just small community stuff, but she's enjoying. She messages me all the time. When are you gonna teach again? Come back, let me know.
Great.
So yeah, she went from that, and she also had an operation on her vocal cords, but she's healed now and just enjoying it and playing and singing.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. That's lovely.
No, it's wonderful. That's what I mean by that's it giving back to you when you see things like that, and you feel good about what you've done. You've made a difference in someone else's life.
Yeah,
and a positive difference too. So.
Yeah. I'm actually really enjoying talking to you, and I'm actually coming up with more questions and going beyond my my default list here.
I'm enjoying this. It's just chatting with a friend and chilling.
Oh, you actually have when you said before about the client with the nice speaking voice, and I'm like, have you listened to yourself lately?
I applied for a radio job. I didn't get it. This was years back in Fiji. But I wasn't good enough for radio. But then I got on TV. So I was working in television. I was predominantly, editor, camera, production. But then there were 3 local TV shows that they needed someone to host. So I hosted 2 of them. And the third one was a comedy skit show. And one person couldn't make one of the shoots that they were doing, so they asked me to fill in. And then after that episode, I became a regular on the show because they wanted me there all the time.
Oh my God.
People thought I was funny, so I don't know why.
You are full of surprises. And also, the people that turn you down for the radio gig, do I have to send them a copy of this podcast?
Yeah, please.
And say, look what you've
Legend
passed
FM
on.
Fiji. Yeah.
Okay, so you said blues was a big influence. Which artists were big influences on you?
Buddy Guy was one of the first albums I listened to or got given to listen to. So my stepfather gave me a cassette tape for the album It Feels Like Rain by Buddy Guy. So that was my first introduction to blues. Well, not really. I knew of blues, but that was kind of the first time I was given material to study and imitate and mimic. And I did that. And that and Eric Clapton's album From the Cradle. So those 2 albums, they're like my blues Bibles. so to speak. Yeah.
I've not heard either of them, so now I'm going to have to.
Yeah, look it up. I'll send you the link to them. They're good albums if you like blues, because it's really heavy blues. Buddy Guy one is interesting because it's kind of a mix of heavy blues and a bit of soft sort of country blues, if you'd call it that. So, but good music.
So I just want to backtrack, because you've told us, quite a bit about all the different things you've done musically. What, like the wedding stuff and the freaking comedy sketches, what the hell? Like, what does an ideal day look like for you? Like, what do you want to be doing musically?
Oh, man. I just want to play. I just want to play and sing, like, every day. If I can do that, I'll be happy.
And what, like, are we talking the hotels or, outdoor events?
Well, it's hard for me to, because I approach every time I play, I approach it the same way, whether it's a big stage or the corner of a pub.
I love that you said that.
Yeah, because I don't know, it's that relationship I have with my music, the music that I play, is we're in this together and we just get lost in it together and we go. So
when I heard you say that, to me that sounds like you have like a deep sense of gratitude for what you do and having the opportunity to play.
Yes, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll take, when I first came here, I was like, I'll take all the gigs. Where's the gig? I'll take it all. Now I'm having to say no to gigs because I don't have time, because I'm already booked somewhere else, And I'm eternally grateful to be in this position now, And I get to play music and pay my bills and look after a family. So
I think that's just a beautiful note to end on. And I just really want to thank you for chatting to me today about your experiences.
It's been my absolute pleasure chatting with you today.